In January of 2017, Russian government voted to change their laws on domestic violence. At the beginning of February, President Putin signed a legal reform that decriminalizes domestic violence. The Russian government are adamant that the law will protect family values and that the law will reduce the interference with private family life. However, the rest of the westernized culture is outraged as the decriminalization of domestic violence has put many women in danger at the hands of their husbands and relatives.
Russia's legislature just took another step towards decriminalizing domestic assault.
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence.
Moves towards decriminalising domestic violence.
In an article by The Mirror, Theresa May confirmed,
"We see this as a retrograde step by the Russian government. Repealing existing legislation sends out absolutely the wrong message on what is..."
As the UK has recently strengthened its laws on domestic violence to protect women and girls. The law of the Criminal Code concerning domestic disputes was altered to categorise certain measures of violence within the family as a civil offence rather than a criminal one, as long as it is the accused's first offence. Yelena Mezzanina, a member of the Russian parliament, noted that, quote, "It is just that a beating with no consequences to health is a civil offence. After the bill comes into force, we will see a real picture and will adjust the law accordingly," end quote. While media in Europe and America have taken a strong stance against the passing of the bill to decriminalise violence within the home and family, Russian lawmakers have put down their defence arguments. In an exclusive report published by Russia Today, Senator Mezzanina stated that the statistics on domestic violence that have been released to the world are completely untrue and have been deliberately misinterpreted. Making certain degrees of domestic violence a civil offence takes away the government's control over families and how they should choose to live their lives. Lawmakers believe this might actually protect parents and family members from being falsely accused or blackmailed by their children. Feminist movements that have lobbied this amendment for accusing us of fascism in the West. The Criminal Code is full of articles punishing violence against women.
In our society, violence towards a woman, like violence in general, is the norm. We live in an ultra-militarized society where it's more shameful to be beaten up than to beat someone up.
The ultra-conservative senator also stated, quote, "Even though family violence was a terrible thing, the claims that it is an acute problem in Russia were completely untrue," end quote. However, according to the government statistics, 49,579 crimes involving violence in the family were committed in Russia in 2015, with the vast majority of victims being women. Natalia Tomashkova, psychotherapist working in Moscow, wrote for The Guardian on the effects domestic violence can have, especially on women and children. Quote, "I do not think this law will make the situation dramatically worse in Russia. The situation of victims is so bad already, this will be difficult," end quote. Recent changes articulated in Articles 115 and 116 of the Criminal Code could encourage underhand violations between partners within families and spur on a vicious cycle. Quote, "I have seen how women who stay with perpetrators of domestic violence have often been abused in childhood, suffer from low self-esteem, or secretly know that they deserve to be punished. Meanwhile, their abuses feel important only when exercising power over a weaker person."
Там равносильно третьему этажу. Я упала. Я могу сказать одно единственное, что полиция бездейственна. Вот мы с нашим директором кризисного центра обращались вместе в полицию. Я писала заявление. Перелом обоих пяточных костей, 3 позвонка сломано. Нижние ребра поломаны. После того, как я уже была в коляске, он меня обратно избил. Я прошла судмедэкспертизу и подала на суд. Но опять же, его не задержали после этого всего. В полиции сидела, плакала, говорю, я не могу возвращаться, понимаете, я сейчас вернусь, он узнает, что я была здесь, будет и меня обратно бить. Вот. Они, а мы что, у нас здесь не гостиница, мы вас тоже держать не можем. Ну, в общем.
I tried to speak to the paramedics. I told them, "He hit me all over, I've got a headache, I don't feel well, and I can hardly stand up." They just said, "Look at what you've done."
Domestic abuse can be a kind of delayed revenge for the helplessness experienced by abusers in childhood filled with humiliation and pain. This is an alarming thought, especially as it is estimated that more than 70% of victims don't say anything when being abused. It is also estimated that about 25% of those are sexually abused. The Russian government heavily control their media. In an article from PEN America, it states, "The government's apparent aim to ensure that younger Russians are exposed to only information that aligns with and reinforces their originally sanctioned worldwide view and values to shape a new generation of dedicated and compliant citizens. Despite these facts, Russian President Vladimir Putin has an 83% approval rating.
Мы любим нашего президента и гордимся им.
Да?
Да, спасибо.
Вы, по-моему, самый лучший президент.
А почему?
Ну, потому что, смотрите, как...
This shows that people should be aware not to fall into the biased agenda represented by the media and government, which might not always consider cultural context. Mezzalina told Russia Today, quote, "We may have shortcomings, but I want other nations to judge Russia and its laws objectively, honestly, and truthfully." End quote.